Hi, it's Greg again. Okay, so we're getting a little closer to the end of this course, which is a good thing. So most of you have done your two scenes, that where there's some sort of gap in the middle. You've already turned that in. I've probably given you some response to that. That's a really important skill. Understanding how to tell a story with two scenes where basically something happened in the middle that you're not going to show us. You simply can't write a screenplay or a TV script if everything is continuous. I mean, you can. There's like one or two movies and one or two TV shows, but they're like incredibly rare. For the most part, the skill you want to learn is how to show glimpses of a story over the course, that might refer to a period of time that might be a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even years, right? I think if you were to look at a lot of standard sitcoms, I'm going to go into sort of like the most basic classic ones, whether it's Everybody Loves Raymond or Friends or Frasier or, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you go to Blackish, which is more recent, what you're going to see is that most stories cover more than one day, right? So a story might be a weekend. In the show Friends, there's always some night scenes, some day scenes. What does that mean? That means that the story that's being told referentially in terms of how you imagine it as the viewer might occupy a couple of days. But it's all being shown in a half an hour, actually less than a half an hour if there's commercials or announcements. Okay? So it's really important to understand and to keep in mind as you go forward in any kind of dramatic writing, but especially sitcom and TV writing, that most of the story never gets shown. You, as the writer, have to pick the key dramatic moments. So, and that's something that you've played with a little bit when you're showing the two scenes and something in the middle. Okay? We're going to do even more of that now as we leave scene writing for a week and just go into treatment or beat sheet writing. A beat sheet is a term for, you're giving us the beats. It's a treatment in which you're basically going to write a couple of sentences showing us what we will see in each of the scenes. So in one or two pages, you could describe an episode. It's not that different from a diagram, and you can write it like a diagram as you diagrammed the earlier Mod Family scenes about a month ago, and you diagrammed Bob's Burgers, okay? And so what I want you to do in this assignment, we're going to have about a week, okay, is to set up for the final script that you'll write some of. You're not going to write the whole thing. Okay? The way to do that is to keep it contained, because it can get difficult to think it through. To keep it contained so that you're managing only 9 scenes. 9 Modern Family scenes that you're going to create and put on the page. You're not going to write all of the entire scenes. We're writing a beat sheet. As I said, it's about a page and a half, probably. Okay, so imagine there are 9 scenes, and they're going to be encompass 3 basic stories. So to keep it real simple, Phil and Claire are the A story. Jay and Gloria and their household are the B story. Mitch and Cam and their household, because they have Lily, are the C, Charlie C story. Okay? Each of these 3 stories will get 3 scenes that you're going to dream up. Okay? So, if you plotted that out, this is not the way you're going to do it. This is by example. You could do it this way. Okay? You could say that Phil and Claire are the A story. So if you had a story in which Phil and Claire argue about what to do during the day in the morning, that would be A1. Scene 1 of that story. If later that day we saw them at the 7-Eleven, we know that Claire won the argument because she wanted to, back in A1, she wanted to go to 7-Eleven. A2, it's now hours later, they're in the 7-Eleven for a 2-page scene for 2 minutes of screen time. And we see them buying the item that they were disputing whether or not they should buy. And then in A3, maybe we see them back at the house and something else is going on that's related to what they bought and what they decided. So that might take up a whole day of imaginary time, but on screen it might be 6 minutes or 8 minutes covering 3 scenes. And of course there's gaps between the scenes. Get it? So B, this will be your Jay and Gloria, and C, this will be your Mitch and Cam. You're going to come up with the 9 scenes. All right? Imagine that you're going to have to write them. You'll write some of them before the end of the course. But just imagine that you're writing them all. You're imagining a 9-scene Modern Family spec script episode. Now, I want to take a couple things off the table. Don't spend time worrying about theme. Just forget that. That doesn't matter. Okay? They don't need to be in the same theme. The theme of love or the theme of school or the theme of hard work. You don't need to worry about anything. They can be really just separate and different. In fact, I'd like them to be separate and different. Don't repeat the same ideas. Get 3 different sets of ideas. This one could be very domestic. This could be about what color they're painting the bedroom. Of course, with emotional stakes. This could be, Jay and Gloria could be about whether or not they go on a trip, or maybe they do go on a trip. And Mitch and Cam could have something totally different going on. It could maybe Lily needs to go to the hospital or the doctor. Okay, 3 basically dissimilar stories. Okay, you can write them out this way. This isn't what you're going to hand in. You can write them out this way. I'm just making it clear. So 3 scenes each for those 3 households. Okay? When you get ready to send it to me in terms of what you're going to submit in the assignment, you're going to list it as 3 acts. And then you're going to interweave your scenes. This can get tricky. Okay? So you're going to put, in Act 1, you're going to have the first of the 3 scenes. So if you're reading the script, you would read the Phil and Claire scene, then it would cut, and you'd read the Jay and Gloria scene, then it would cut, and you'd read the Mitch and Cam scene. Then it would say end Act 1, and you might be at page 9, let's say. And then you see, again, Phil and Claire coming back for their second scene. There's been a lot of gapping between A1 and A2, hasn't there? Right? You'd see Jay and Gloria coming back for their second scene. Again, there's been a lot of gapping between B1 and B2. Okay? And you'd see Mitch and Cam coming back for C2. Then you'd end Act 2, and you'd finish up those stories with A3, B3, and C3. Get it? So you can start on your own. This is not what you're going to hand me. You can start on your own writing this out as 9 sentences. Okay? 3 beats of each story. And you can put them on a page as 9 sentences. Okay? And make a note as to whether it's day or night, is it afternoon, in each scene. Right? And make a note as to the location. Right? Then you mix them up. Well, you interlay them. It's not really, you're not mixing them up arbitrarily. Okay? And you'll start to see how contradictions can come up that you'll have to wrestle with. If A1 takes place in the morning and B1 takes place at night, then for A1 to go to B1, we've got to have in the gap, hours and hours took place. If C1 needs to be in the morning, well, that's a problem. Right? Unless you're trying to imply that this was that A1, B1, and C1 took place over 24 hours. In which case, if that's what you're trying to imply, that's fine. Cut to Act 2. We've got more to do. So you see how the night-day and the time of day issue starts to affect the way you're writing. You may have to go back to this and make changes so that this little poker hand of 9 scenes can work out and make sense. Because I'll be looking at things like, how could C2 come before A3? So if you, when you originally come up with these scenes, if you write a B1, B2, and B3 that don't have gaps at all, that take place all within an hour, it's going to be hard to stretch that out over this period of time, right? From B1 to B3. Because then that would only leave you a very short amount of time to slip those other scenes in. So you might have wondered how they do this when you're reading an episode or watching an episode. And the answer is they do it carefully. Sometimes they get here, almost always, and they go, oh, okay, wait. There's no way that A1 and A2 can work that way. Okay? I do not want you to put A2 in Act 1, and I do not want you to put B3 in Act 1. I want you to stretch them out. A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, in this order. It's meant to be a difficult problem. Okay? Your entry for each scene could be 2 sentences. So this entire assignment, in terms of writing, could be 18 sentences. 2 sentences each per scene. You must tell me who's doing what in the most basic overview sense. Claire and Phil are making dinner when Phil decides he wants to go to college again. Tell me where it's set. Claire and Phil's house, Tell me when it's set. Morning. Okay? Then give me the next scene. So this is what you're going to do to help you, because you're going to have to keep track of your individual stories. This is what you're going to hand in, except each one of these entries is going to be probably 2, maybe 3 sentences long. Each entry is a scene. 9 scenes. You're juggling them. The point of this is that they have to make time sense. Okay? Again, if C2 really couldn't happen after B2 and doesn't fit before A3, then you've got to play with it. You've got to change what's in C2. I don't want the order to change. I'm forcing you to do this. A2, B2, C2 in that order. A1, B1, C1 in that order. Okay? Don't give me many details. You don't need details. It's like writing a diagram. Okay? And capitalize your actions. And I'm not going to put the button despite. I mean, if you put it in, that's great. But I want to keep this really simple. This is about time and place and making sure that your stories move forward in some way. Okay? Try not to, even down here, try not to conclude stories. I want to get you out of the habit of resolving stories, and then they live happily ever after. That doesn't matter. If Jay and Phil are still mad at each other at the end, or if Jay and Gloria are still mad at each other at the end of B3, I'm okay with that. Okay? I would rather you increase tension, you imply that tension will increase, than that everybody gets along. That's boring as heck. Okay? So this is the assignment. That's why I wanted to show it to you in visual terms, because it can get a little bit, it's going to get complicated. If you just do it on one page and send it to me without editing or changing it, I'm going to have to give you a very low grade. The point of this assignment is that you should have to go back and forth and juggle the times or the implied times of day of each scene and the locations, which are more than just implied. You've got to state the location of each scene. Do not write anything involving interviews. These are standard scenes, kind of like the ones that I've described to you, where someone is someplace doing something to or with somebody, and there's some sort of obstacle. I'm going to say this again. Capitalize your actions. Okay? Capitalize your actions or active verbs. Do not capitalize an adjective. Don't say, she romances him sweetly, and capitalize sweetly. Sweetly is not a verb. Romances would be the important thing to capitalize. Why am I asking you to capitalize? Because I want you to remember each scene's got to have action. Each scene has to have implied conflict. Okay? They're not going to all be funny unless you're an absolute genius. I know I'm not. So you don't need to worry about, is every one of them funny? Just worry about, are you making a story that seems to make sense? And then think about the time of day and the location. That's what you're going to send in basically 6 days or a week. You're going to send that on August 1st. Okay? It can be a total of 18 sentences, but how they relate to each other and the gaps that are implied, that's what makes it a good assignment. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.